Alrighty, what is going on, guys? Okay, so the next 24 hours is going to be absolutely insane. We got a Fed meeting. This is also Jerome Powell's last meeting. And then we also have Meta, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon reporting earnings tomorrow after the bell. Okay, now, typically, the markets kind of chop around until Powell speaks. So, there's not too much movement there. And then once, it's getting closer for him to speak, the markets make its move. Okay. So now, again, let's get into the charts. Now, again, we are getting close to the top of this channel. Okay. I've drawn this. This is like, this has basically been the overall trend. Every time we've tapped this little line here, we bounced. This was last year, the April lows in 2025. And now we're back up here again as well. Okay. So we're getting close to the top of this channel here. So, as the saying goes, sell in May and go away. Okay. So if that's the case, there could be a sell off in May. Could be, again, nothing I say is financial advice. Always do your own research. Also depending on what Fed Chairman Powell says, also depending on, what Google, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft report for earnings. That's going to be a big indicator on, the AI train and, how that's going ahead and stuff like that. Okay. So we're going to have to see how those report earnings, what their numbers are. I don't have a problem with them beating earnings, but it's going to be dependent on, what they say, what the earnings call is, and what their numbers are, and what they have to say about the future of AI. Okay, so that's really going to be, crucial tomorrow as far as watching these companies report earnings. Okay, now some levels that I'm looking for if the markets do decide to pull back. Now we could break this trend line and go higher for sure. I'm not saying that. I'm not taking anything off the table. I mean, if you've been in the Trump market, you know that anything can happen at any time. Okay, but you know if we do pull back, which I do believe, we're getting ready to potentially pull back again. It's sell in May and go away. That's what they say. So if that's the case, some levels I'm looking for first is the 696 level. That was the previous all-time high. And then if we don't hold there, then here would be 670, and then I'm really hoping that we fill this gap here. I've been talking about it for a couple weeks now. I'm really hoping that we fill this gap here at 665, somewhere in this range. This is this gap right here, and if we fill this gap, I think that this, we'd have to look at the charts at that point, see what the sentiment is, see what the markets are looking like, and this could be a potential long opportunity here, a really good long opportunity, just like how it was, down here to go long. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at for SPY going into tomorrow. Now, again, if you haven't traded in a Fed meeting, it can get crazy out there. Now, if you need help and you need some direction, check out the Discord. I'm going to throw some plays out tomorrow. It gets crazy. It's quick. You got to be in, you got to be out, but you can make a lot of money, and you can lose a lot of money if you don't know what you're doing as well. Okay, so one thing I did want to say is Hood just reported earnings. They actually missed on revenue and EPS, and they sold off. As far as I'm concerned, I think they're sitting somewhere around the $75 range. Now, for me personally, I will be doing some buying. I did some buying a little bit today, but I will be buying more on this gap fill here at 71. And if that doesn't hold, I think that this will hit probably tomorrow. And if this hits tomorrow, I think it will. Again, nothing I say is financial advice. Always do your own research. But if it does hit, I'll be adding here. And then if that doesn't hold, I'll also be adding here into my long-term portfolios. Again, if you need help, check out the Discord. Link is in the description. And yeah, guys, so tomorrow's going to be crazy. Just be careful out there. This is just a super quick update, super quick video, and be diligent in what you're doing. And, again, if you need a community to trade with, check out the link in the description. And, let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see what Fed Powell says, and let's see what those companies report for earnings. Okay. So we'll see you in the next video.